Okay, so for 61 through 68 on that page, I'm going to do 61 through 65 together since they're similar. What you're doing on these is you're taking the words that they give you or the statement and you're going to turn it into a mixture of variables and numbers depending on how it's being described. So the first one on 61 says for more than twice a number. So for more than comes at the end, twice a number. Is, so whenever you see is, it's going to mean equal. To less than, so that has to come at the end. To less than 5 times the same number. And so the one that's going to correspond to that is going to be A. So 61 should be A. For 62, it says 35 is, so immediately 35 is. So is means equal. The quotient of a number y and 2.4. And again, I actually don't see that answer on the list. It says 24. I think they skipped on a decimal place, but it's C. 63. It says Sally's salary S, so it tells you the variable to use, is 7 more than 6 times Rashawn's salary, R. So it says again, Sally's salary is, so that means equal, 7 more than, again, 7 comes at the end, 6 times R, or Rashawn's. And then the one that's going to correspond to that the most is going to be A. And the reason why they can switch the order of these is one of the properties we talked about last time. So again, 3 plus 4 is the same as 4 plus 3, and that's the commutative property. So that allows you actually to put the 7 plus the 6R. So that's why 63, again, is A. So then 64 says 200% of a number less than a number. So if you ever see a percentage, you always turn it into a decimal. And so 200% is actually just 2.00 or just 2. So again, it says 200% of a number less than, so it needs to come at the end, 200% of a number less than a number. So it'd be the same number. So then that's corresponding with A. And then 65 says 4 times the square of the difference of 2 numbers. So 4 times the square of the difference, so we have the difference of 2 numbers and it needs to be squared. So the square of the difference of 2 numbers. And so then that's corresponding with A. So for number 66, it says given the following equation, which is true. And if you look at all your responses, A, B, C, and D, A, C, and D are all solved for X. So I'm going to test that method first before looking at anything like B. So to solve for X, you start by subtracting 68. And what I would have is 0.5x is equal to negative 74y minus 68. You don't take negative 74 minus 68 since they're not like terms. You have a y and a constant term. Then we're going to divide by 0.05 to get x by itself. And actually dividing by 0.05 is the same as multiplying by 2. So since it's the same as 1/2, you would multiply by 2 over 1 to clear the fraction. So that's why this is actually going to be 74 times 2, which is 148, y, minus, and then it's also going to be 68 times 2, and that will be the 136. And then if you look through your answer choices, that's going to actually already correspond to A. So all I did was solve for x, again, by subtracting 68. Then I divided by 0.5, which is the same as 1/2. And dividing by that fraction is the same as multiplying by the reciprocal, so it's 2 over 1. So that's why I multiplied those by 2 to get the A. Okay, then for 67, I already wrote the problem again. Looking through my responses, A, B, C, and D. B, C, and D all have y by itself on the right-hand side. So I'm going to start by solving for y. So I'm going to divide by negative 0.9 or negative 0.9, which is the same. And then when I do that, then I'll get y by itself on the right. And then I'm going to check what I get here. So 0.5 divided by negative 0.9 is going to give me negative 0.556. And then positive divided by negative there will be negative. So then 99 divided by negative 0.9 is going to be minus 110. So looking at your responses or your options, since I rounded actually over here, and don't forget the x, that's going to correspond with B. Okay, then for 68, it says the following is the formula for finding the area A of a trapezoid with height h and bases B1 and B2. So it's the area for a trapezoid, which shows the formula correctly solved for B1. So that means I need to isolate B1 here by multiplying first both sides by 2. So I get 2a is going to be equal to h B1 plus B2. And since this means multiplication, the h times B1 plus B2, I need to divide by h. So I have 2a over h is going to equal B1 plus B2. And then at this point, since there's no operations outside, you can drop to parentheses. And again, we're solving for B1, so to get B1 by itself, I have to subtract B2 since that's the opposite. So 2a over h minus B2 is equal to B1. And then looking through your responses, the one that's going to match that is going to be D. So D was the correct answer for 68.